Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, my history with art, and why I think being on social media is making me a better artist. Yes, social media. Yes, that social media. Yes, the social media full of duck lips, the Tide Pod Challenge, and people taking selfies at Chernobyl while dancing in their bathing suits to Sugar Crash. That social media. When I was growing up, my next door neighbor, an older kid, collected comics, and I would ask his mom if I could come over and read them. He was never there when I was, but I'm assuming he actually existed. Either that or the lady really liked comics but was too embarrassed to admit the comics were hers. It wasn't a large collection, like a single box, but he had some paperback collections that I loved. He had one called The Origins of Marvel Comics. He had another one called The Son of Origins of Marvel Comics, which was a sequel to the first one. You have to admit, Stan Lee was pretty innovative when it came to titles. You cannot argue his genius. These books reprinted the origin stories of Marvel's biggest characters, including Spider-Man, Thor, Daredevil, Iron Man, and the X-Men. I read my neighbor's comics until I wore them out. His copy of Giant Size X-Men #1 would probably be worth something today if it still had a cover on it. These books inspired me to start drawing and to develop my own team of superheroes. The first character I remember creating was named Laserfinger. He shot lasers out of his fingers. Touché, Stan Lee, touché. Laserfinger was probably in a lab accident where he was, working on a laser and was probably bathed in radiation from a laser, or maybe he was bitten by a laser, or maybe I was just a lazy writer and said he was just born that way. No offense, X-Men. Since then, I've drawn for as long as I can remember, but I never pursued a career in art. Well, that's not exactly true. I went to a few comic conventions to show my work, but I wasn't very good, mainly because I didn't take practice seriously. I just never truly thought I could become good enough to have a career in art, so I didn't dedicate my time to it. Instead of trying to do something I enjoyed for a living, I decided I would pursue wealth instead, which is why I graduated from college with an English degree. If you didn't know, an English degree is like having a license to print money. Pro tip. Eventually, I decided to put my English degree to good use and become a graphic designer, like all great English degree graduates before me. As time went on, I would continue to draw, but I never really practiced. I would draw the same things I've always drawn, the same eyes, the same poses, the same everything, over and over and over. It was more of a habit. I wouldn't challenge myself, and because of that, I never progressed. And now, I'm old. So kids, remember, don't listen to your guidance counselors. You don't have to choose something practical for your career. Some people get paid to teach dogs to surf. Look it up. It's adorable. While working as a graphic designer, I also spent time learning animation, mainly in Toon Boom Harmony, and exploring 3D programs, starting with Blender pre-2.8, then Modo, then Cinema 4D, and then transitioning back to Blender post-2.8 after Maxon went to a subscription model. I used to be very disgruntled about that transition. I guess I was mad that Maxon didn't want to continue taking my money. However, now that I've spent a lot of time in Blender, I'm glad it happened. I really learned to love the program, especially incorporating 3D with grease pencil and freestyle. In addition to animation in 3D, I've always had an interest in YouTube, so I started making videos. I intended to make animation and Blender tutorials, which I have, but videos about drawing started creeping in as well. At first I began posting Procreate time lapses, and my work was pretty bland and not so great. But then, since I knew people might see them, although they really haven't, I thought, what if I learned to add color? Or, I wonder how hard it would be to draw like Lee Weeks or Dan Mora. I should try that, which, if you don't know, is extremely hard, and I wasn't very successful at it, but I'm glad I tried. My point is, posting made me want to try new things and then to make videos that might help others. Creating these videos helped me to start practicing more, studying more, and learning more. It helped because I knew my art would now be out in the world for better or for worse, and not sitting in a desk drawer hidden away. If I want to show my art to people, I want to be as good as it can be, at least at the moment I'm creating it. It doesn't have to be anywhere near professional or perfect. I just need to know I was trying to improve, even if I was the only one who noticed. Those improvements may be measured in very small, tiny, minuscule steps, but it's still something. Even though I haven't built much of an audience or received much feedback, posting videos about the processes at least make me feel like my art exists outside of my office, which helps encourage me to improve. It just feels energizing to put it out there, warts and all. Wanting to share my process with others and help them see how I created something has made me interested in learning more about art, especially the process other artists follow, which in turn makes me better each time I try to follow along. On a side note, as I mentioned in a previous video, the only comic book artwork process I saw growing up was in the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way book, affiliate link below. I never really saw how artists work or how they struggle, even when they look to be at the pinnacle of the art world. Now you can watch artists like Jim Lee, David Finch, and Ryan Benjamin work, hear them talk about the way they approach art, and how they even struggle to improve. It's really encouraging to know that you aren't alone and feeling like you were never good enough. I assumed Jim Lee drew everything perfect as soon as the pencil touched the paper, but now I know from watching his videos that he actually owns an eraser. The biggest lesson about posting your artwork is do it for you. Don't worry about what level you're at. Everyone starts somewhere. Don't worry about negative feedback. Who cares? This is about having a place to put your work so that it isn't hidden in a notebook somewhere never to be seen. I've never been good enough to be paid for the art I create, but it isn't about being a professional. It's about challenging yourself to become better at something you really enjoy doing. Keeping my art hidden away in a drawer all of these years has really hindered my progress, and I hope I can encourage others to not make the same mistakes. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.